Yeah, observation.
What I'm finding is that it's the really challenging stuff in life that I have to apply the teaching to really consciously. Like I think I had this idea that I'll do the meditation and feel good, then everything will be easy. And it's kind of like it is in a way, but it's also like there's still a couple of areas that really need conscious attention, and like the idea of turning towards them is huge for me. Like these are the areas I need to actually step into and kind of address and apply the teachings to, not like my habitual approach is like, I just want to avoid them, run away and like hope it just gets better by itself.
Yeah, I know what you mean. A couple of good points on that. There's a couple of pieces of discussion on it. We always have areas that are harder, you know, like whether it's work or family or a friendship or a particular person or something. Is there any particular area you're finding that it's giving a bit of resistance or grind for you?
It's always parenting and work.
Work and parenting, yeah.
And they'll like the idea that, they're stealing my time, like taking away my freedom in a way.
So there's a couple things to approach, and like, you know, you were right. Like when we talk about being conscious, you know, it does require that. It does require us to be more aware of ourselves in that situation, meaning, okay, we operate from a subconscious level, a certain program activates, and then you're operating in that program, so you need to kind of rise your level so you're more conscious of what's going on, so you can transcend it, right? Now, first piece is, okay, how do we then apply it kind of when the situation arises, yeah? And one of the first things we can always address is, what is the actual perspective I have to it? Because the only reason there's a grind there is because you think there's a grind there. Do you know what I mean? That's the whole point, is that we're looking at it in a certain way. You know, I was chatting with someone the other day about the way you look at something. Like you have a topic, and Hicks is big on this, how every topic is two topics. You know, like friendships can be lack of friendships or abundance of friendships. Money can be lack of money or abundance of money, but it's the same topic, right? It's the way you look at it. So the question becomes is, how am I actually perceiving that area of my life? No, you don't have to hang out there, you can go do something else. You're just standing there looking at the... Go get back to your schoolwork, yeah? So anyway, that's a good thing to be aware of. Oftentimes when we're caught in a thought form, it's difficult to kind of catch it or rewire it on the spot. So, you know, you're thinking about something and like, this is pissing me off, right? And you're stuck in it, right? Or I don't like this, this is stealing my time. So the question becomes, okay, how do I approach it in a different way? And one way is to do what you want to do, meaning just drop it, think about something else. Meaning actually think about something else which feels better to you. Because we're vibrational, we are energetic, meaning if you switch topics, so if the topic of parenthood is feeling a bit grindy, think about, you know, I don't know, something which isn't grindy, romantic relationship, I don't know, something that feels good to you. So then you start to feel good in yourself, and then that good feeling rubs off onto that area. You know, so that is actually one way. So I mean, the way you said isn't actually a bad way, if that makes sense. Yeah. But at the same time, you know, we do want to rewire. So remember how we did introspections last week? We spoke about, okay, we all have thought forms. We want to disenergize the thought forms which we don't, that don't feel good for us. We want to energize the ones that do, right? Noah! He didn't close the front door. He forgot. He just went straight to do his homework. Noah, close the front door.
That pisses me off. Turning that around so it's mine. So I'm pissed off about that situation. Dealing with it, I'm trying to be more mindful.
Speaking about being pissed off, I just want to bring something up that came in a session today online. By accident, TJ, one of the students online, he goes, I've just been blissing out so much, I'm so blissed off. And he was like, blissed off? I'm like, I was like, that's a good way of putting it. I've never heard anyone say that before. I got so blissed off. That's a good one, right? I really liked it. I said he should make a shirt. Anyway, Yes, let us.
Well, it blisses me off.
Let's go to the pub and get blissed. Anyway, so did you close the door? I don't know. Maybe close the office door. Anyway, coming back to it. So introspections. We're aware of the thoughts and emotions that are troubling us, and it's always the perspective to that thought, that experience, which is what's offsetting for us. So, thanks, Noah. So you can use that, meaning you can literally use the introspection technique. If there's a certain area at nighttime, lie there, see the resistance coming up and rewire it. That's one way to get ahead of it, right? Is to actually work on it consciously within yourself. And then further to that, is the actual application of surrender. Like what I mean is, you've got the practicing beforehand, okay? I know that in this situation, I tend to get a bit grindy, whether it's work or kids, right? So at nighttime, what would be a good way, to think, feel, or act in a way which is beneficial to me, right? So you got the introspective practice, but then you have the contemplative practice, which is the real, the living power within this teaching, in that you approach it and you allow, rather than going, I don't want to run away from this, you allow it to be on yourself. That's what most people struggle with, is allowing negative emotions to be there, because it doesn't feel good, right? So if something's pissing you off, not blissing you off, right? If something's pissing you off or you're feeling upset or fearful or whatever, you don't want to feel it, right? No one really wants to feel it. So the real mindset shift is to think to myself, I am grateful for the opportunity to surrender this. Then you'll allow yourself to sense it on your space. You'll allow yourself to experience it. If you can allow yourself to experience it, you can allow it to spend and let go. Like a can of gas which gets cut, the gas starts to come out, as opposed to just suppressing it all down into the subconscious and holding it down. You know what I mean? Which is what a lot of people do, is they repress and suppress, as opposed to release, which is the day-to-day work, which is more applicable at work or with your kids, as opposed to the pre-work, which is introspective at nighttime, right? So the question then becomes, okay, how am I supposed to let this negative feeling be there, right? And then the first barrier is, I don't want it to be there, right? So we have to realize that this is an actual opportunity to surrender it, but to transcend it. If you don't, there's a saying, feel it to heal it. You might have heard that before. And I like what it suggests, but I think the term's a bit imprecise, meaning feel it to heal it is kind of suggests an emotional quality, feel. It should be more like sense it to heal it, or sink it to heal it. Because if you sense it, it means you're with it as a sensation, as a sense, as opposed to feeling into it and getting caught in the emotion. That's a different thing, right? So the first thing is, okay, I'm grateful for this opportunity to let go of this shit emotion, right? The second part is, then how do I get to that point where I am grateful? Okay, so something you can keep in your mind is that it's not going to kill you. When have you ever had an emotion that was unpleasant that killed you? Right? We're all still here, so none of them yet, right? So what am I getting at? Your past experience will tell you it's not going to kill you, which is the ultimate extreme of a negative emotion, is that you're scared of dying, right? That's the ultimate extreme of a negative emotion, the fear of death. So knowing as conscious beings that this emotion won't kill me, and this arising of negativity is an opportunity to release it, we can start to be grateful, we can start to appreciate the opportunity to take the rock out of the shoe, to take the bricks out of the backpack, right? So then what do? We say, okay, great, I know it's not going to kill me, this is an opportunity to let it go, sweet, I'm just going to let it stay on my space, right? So then that's the first point. You got to let it stay in your energetic space, on your what's called your etheric body, your energy body, and it stays within your aura as well. The aura is the energetic projection of the etheric body. You can see the kind of the white haze around the etheric system there. That's the aura. So that energy will stay in your space. Okay, great. So we know it's in our space. Wonderful. Now, while it's there and while we're grateful that it's there, we then have the intention of surrender. Now, from an energetic standpoint, that's the basic level is the movement of energy. everything's in motion, right? In Chinese they say tam, which means to sink. They say sink qi, so release the qi out, or the energy out of your system. But on a deeper level, it's emotional and mental movement, meaning we have to dissipate the emotional and mental quality, not just the energetic quality. So it's like, okay, that's interesting, good to know the theory, but then how does that actually apply? Well, as you sense it on your system, you want to be aware of it in you, you consciously release through it, and that releasing this, you'll start to notice movement. And we'll practice this today, so we'll go deeper into this as a practical near the end. But the key detail, which most people forget, is that we are not separate lumps of meat. What I mean is that...
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, apart from Mark. We're connected, is what I'm trying to say. Is that as you are, okay, I'm great. Oh, wonderful, I have an opportunity. You know, my boss has pissed me off, great, yeah? Pissed me off, great. I'm going to allow this to be on my space, it's not going to kill me. Now I'm going to sink it. So the sinking starts to create a movement so that it doesn't get lodged into you. So you're starting to release it, and the guys who train Kung Fu know what I'm talking about. And then as you release, the sinking starts to let the mental and emotional sensation wash out of your system, so you're no longer getting stuck in it. And then lastly, it's devotion. So the last part of, I'm just explaining the surrender technique here, yeah? The last part of the surrender is devotion, meaning something greater. Buddha, Jesus, Krishna, the Tao, the universe, Christ, whatever, you know, something greater than yourself, which you can identify with and connect to. That's the key detail that most people forget. It's like it's a devotion. It's a surrender to something greater than oneself. And I know I've hammered into this point a few times, but I believe that people need more of that. Because realizing that we're a part of something greater allows you to rely on something more powerful than one's own will and one's own tiny lump of matter. Because we are just tiny lumps of matter as humans, right? The spirit is the part that's greater, which allows us to transcend. So in brief summary, some situation arises, okay, work's being shit, or I'm feeling shit about work. Okay, great. This is an opportunity to surrender this. I don't have to fear it. I'm not going to die here at my desk. You know what I mean? Oh, I don't like this work. We know we're not going to die, right? So the reason that's important is because then you can accept the emotional quality, and in a way that you allow it to be present, right? Okay, so we're aware that it's not going to kill us. Good. Now from there we can start to sink and release. And as we're releasing, it's like you take this, like they call it a mudra, I think in Hindu they call it a mudra, which is like a posture. And it's like saying, I surrender this to you, God. It's something like that. It's a mental and emotional posture that you hold within yourself. One of my teachers would describe it like when a cat's kind of rubbing up against your legs and looking up going, meow. You know, we're taking a posture of devotion, so to speak. So, yeah, that's the kind of general approach we use to releasing blocks. You know, and why is that important? Because then you're just simply happier. If you train yourself to be able to allow negative emotions to be in your space, if you learn the mechanism of surrender, if you align yourself with a higher power, you just get happier and happier, like simply put. And that's also been tested on the kinesiologic scale. So the more conscious a person is, the happier they are, generally speaking. So think about it. A shameful person is not as happy as a loving person. Who would have thought? You know what I mean? Like, it's a pretty easy multiple choice question. So I hope that gives you a bit of, yeah. It's good to understand the mechanics, because when you understand, okay, this is what's actually going on. I'm feeding a negative thought form. That negative thought form is making me feel a certain way. Okay, I can think about a more positive thought form. That's what we first said. Change your mind. Good. Oh, go do something else. Go get a massage. Okay, good. That changed my mind. Fantastic. All right, wonderful. Okay, another thing we can do is we can do introspection. Nighttime, we lie down. What did I think, feel, or say that I shouldn't have said? Okay, probably shouldn't have punched that old lady in the face. Yeah. Don't do that again. Okay, and then you can say, okay, what did I not think, feel, or say that I could have done? Okay, I understand that she's, a bit older and has no, that's okay. And you see what I mean? You rewire at nighttime your thoughts, actions, and feelings. We did that last week, right? Remember that exercise? It's a hard one to do, that one. It's a hard one to do consistently because our personality doesn't want to change. And if you,
Takes a lot of honesty too.
absolutely, sincerity, yeah, 100%. We have to own our inner faults, let's say.
Yeah. Ego can't play any part of it.
Yeah, that's true. And then we think about applying the surrender mechanism, which is essentially negativity arises in some shape or form, sparked by our perception of something in the environment. We go, okay, great, opportunity to release it. So we bring a level of awareness to it straight away. And bringing that level of awareness, we allow it to be there because we know we're not going to die. And then we go into the sinking and releasing with the intention, to thee, O Lord, or to God, or to Buddha, or to whoever, I surrender this. So you get that natural feedback loop, of release. So that's the few bits and pieces that I'd be suggesting there. It's like, and it's nothing new. We've spoken about all this, it's nothing new. It's all the same. It's just you hear it from different angles, and then over time something clicks, and you go, so I should let that go. You know what I mean?
Like when you go through the whole process, I remember the bit that I'm getting tripped up on, which is for me, it's the in the moment gratitude. Like in the moment something happens and I feel like, and I remember I used to feel gratitude and be like, another chance to let go, great. Whereas I've gotten out of that habit. And now if I don't have that first step of remembering I can be grateful, which changes everything, there's just a resistance in the moment, which kind of doesn't get resolved in the moment.
That's right. Yeah.
So that for me is what you said, the unlock.
Getting that step in. That's right. Because if we don't remember that initial step of, great, this is actually an opportunity. This is an opportunity to improve and feel better and have a better experience in life. It's hard to get to the next step.
Yeah.
Like we spoke about earlier, when you're climbing a ladder, you tend to go rung by rung. You know what I mean? I mean, we want to get straight to the point where it's like, all gone. Yeah, awesome. I'm glad you found that helpful. Any other questions or observations or discussion points before we get into our practice?
That sort of, we talked about anger last week and that you're saying let that sit, to welcome it in, so that you can process it as opposed to feeling guilty about feeling anger, because we've been told we shouldn't be angry. But
That's right.
life's not like that.
That's right. Yeah.
It happens, and I say it every day. I say it in all sorts of ways. So you just have to, for me personally, I have to process that. I've got to think about it and turn it into a positive almost, because it'll make me stronger. You know what I mean? I take that anger instead of being angry and carrying it around all day. Bring it in, sink it, process it, understand it, surrender to it, and let it go.
Yeah, that's right. Perfect. You bring up a couple of really good points there, because the first initial point about anger, and then rather than getting kind of upset that I'm feeling angry, the thing is that it's quite common, especially for children, to be told that their angry behavior is bad, so then they feel guilty for feeling angry, and it creates a negative feedback loop.
Right.
Because if you have a look, right, anger here is at 150, so it's got a level of power of 150. But guilt and shame are down at 30 and 20. So if you're angry, right, and then your mum says to you, stop being angry, that's naughty, right, and then you start feeling guilty, you've gone actually down. As opposed to teaching them how to actually move up and say, okay, yeah, exactly. Or even going just up to pride and say, I'm proud that I'm owning my anger. Yeah, I'm proud that I'm allowing myself to feel. I'm proud that I'm letting this be on my system. I'm proud that I'm experiencing this energy, which will then take them up and then into courage. I'm going to own this emotion.
Wow.
You understand?
Yeah.
So then you're taught to be allowed to feel as opposed to repress your feelings. So that's the first part of what you're saying, because most people have that program of reserve, because I've coached people for a long time, and I've noticed people get up to an anger, and I'm like, okay, great, we're breaching on the line of integrity. Because once you get out of the fields of force, you go up to integrity, meaning this is an upward expansive field of power. This is a downward contracting field of force, but these are greater levels of force. So what I mean is that you can use force in a constructive way. So the same way a seed in the earth is not bad because it's a seed of shame, it still has room to grow, right? So you need to nurture at it at each point. You don't go, fuck you seed, you're shit.
Unless it's a weed.
Pardon my French. Unless it's a weed, then you kick it. Anyway, what am I getting at? So just being aware of that and going, I can feel this anger, and it's good in a way because it has so much power in it. You know when you get angry, you're like, roar, and you feel the power in it, but it's not so much power, it's more force, but it's active. It's active force as opposed to passive force, which is the lower realms of like shame, guilt, and depression, where you don't feel like doing anything because the energy level's too low. So it's actually good to get angry, right? It's good to get angry, but then you learn how to constructively express it via using it as a way to bring yourself up to higher levels as opposed to pressing it down and then getting upset about it. So it's actually, it's good. That was the initial part of what you said, that topic there, and it's good to be aware of it because it's utilized.
My surrender involves nature. I always find if I've had to deal with something on the sort of process something emotionally, I think a lot of people do this, they find somewhere in nature that's a quiet park bench or it's sitting on the beach or it's doing something.
That's great. Yeah.
They don't realise it, possibly subconsciously.
100%. You're 100% right. Yeah. To that point as well, we'll come back to the others, but nature absolutely helps you recharge. Like think about it. When everyone's on holiday, where do they go? They go to the beach, or they go into nature because the nature recharges you. That's on a side note. The elements, so if you look at that chart there with the meridian system to the right of the chakra system, you'll see there's a star with 5 circles on it, the red, green, yellow, black and white star. That represents the 5 core elements. And when you're in the elements, they charge up your etheric body. So your chi system, your energy system gets charged up in the elements. Sun, wind, earth, water. So that's why the beach is a big favorite for people. They just naturally, I feel so energized and free here because they're getting in tune with nature. So that's a side note to that. But coming back to anger, having that awareness of allowing the frequency to be there so it can be surrendered as opposed to repressing it and going further down into layers of force. You want to be able to allow it to be there and then just, I'm proud of myself that I'm letting this anger be on me. Yes, this is good. And then you take ownership for the anger. That's when you move to courage. Because remember the critical line from 199 to 200 is responsibility. I am responsible for my emotional condition. It is not Steve's fault because he's a dickhead. It's me and my perspective of him, which is bringing up this frequency within me. Once you own that, you're able to dissipate it, and you move into courage, and then up into acceptance, and up into willingness, and up into so on and so forth. That's the game, and I only really discovered this because I wanted to master Kung Fu, and in Kung Fu you need to not be forceful in your body. So your physical body has to be free of tension in order to reach the highest levels of Kung Fu. And no one could do it at my master's place, like no one. He could help us get into this powerful condition, but no one could stay in it. And he was always telling us, don't use force, relax, let go. 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 And it's just like none of us could get to the depths of release that he could, which is what led me into the actual emotional, mental, and into the spiritual realms of it, because it just wasn't possible in the physical practice of relaxation, if that makes sense. So I just found, oh shit, you got to understand your thoughts, emotions, and your connection to spirit in order to be truly powerful from a Kung Fu standpoint. But then the side part of that is I realized the power comes from an understanding of one's thoughts and emotions and the way to master them. How do you really take care of that garden within you? How do you plant the right flowers, take out the weeds so that you live in a peaceful, loving, powerful, prosperous, free way? So you feel free is a simple way of putting it. Alrighty, any other questions, observations, or ideas before we meditate today?
What if,
Yeah.
I have a question.
Sure.
What if you're trying to let go,
Mm-hmm.
heal
Mhm.
another way,
Mm-hmm.
but other person keeps pushing their boundaries?
Mm-hmm.
How do you stop it without reacting to them?
Sure. So there's a person and they're doing something and that triggers you, for example, right? Yeah, there's a couple pieces that I mean, there's always a few pieces to a puzzle, right? There's never just okay, I got a puzzle with one piece. That's a pretty easy puzzle to figure out. I want that puzzle. Yeah. So the first thing we always deal with ourselves, because we can never control anyone else. As much as I'd like to, I don't have that skill. You know, I don't know how to control those, and that's not the game. So the first thing is just rewiring our perspective and perception and expectation of anyone else to do or be or say anything that we want. You know what I mean? Like, we can't make anyone do anything, you know, as much as we'd like to, you know. Do it! So it's about having a realistic expectation within oneself for others. You know, do you know what I mean? Because if our happiness is based on someone else's actions, thoughts, words, or deeds, we'll never be happy, because we can never control that. And even if you can control it to a point, they're eventually not going to like you. Do you know what I mean? If you use force with a person and force them to do your bidding, then eventually that's going to break, because it's built not on stable foundations, not on a spiritual foundation of wholeness and oneness and connection. So the second part to that is, if a person is, you know, mistreating you or not respecting you as a person should be treated, then, you know, the best option is usually to just leave. In there, because I mean, then, you know, yeah.
If you're in a pub and that was happening,
Yeah.
you'd walk away.
That's right. You wouldn't just stay there, right? You know, another way I put it is, you know, if you walk down a street, right, and dog bites you, you know, then okay, ouch, go to the doctor, get your tetanus shot, whatever. Then you walk down the same street again, you get bit again. Okay, this is a telltale sign. I should probably walk on the other side of the street now. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, just because we're a loving or a forgiving or a kind person, it doesn't mean we need to put up with assholes.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah, you don't. In simple terms, fuck them. Sorry for being so, like, you know, and oftentimes the people see when someone has a loving heart or a kind intention or is a good person, and they'll take advantage of that. In energetic terms, they put their hooks in. You know, they like hook you energetically and they draw your vitality. Draw. Energetic vampires or thieves. They draw your vitality. But what happens over time is that you'll subconsciously or consciously realize that, and you'll go, I don't feel good anymore around this person, because they're taking your vitality. They'll call it in the energetic world, they call it a solar plexus relationship, because the energy center of the solar plexus is like where we store our chi, right? Where we feel vital. And people will subconsciously draw energy from people who are a loving, open, energetic person. You'll feel, I don't feel so good around this person, because they're drawing your vitality. So fuck them, sorry. That's the simplest way, is to change your environment and stop seeing them. And to be honest with you, I've cut a lot of people off. And the thing is, sometimes you don't realize they're energy vampires till later. They're called wolves in sheep's clothing. They come smiling, bearing gifts, but really subtly they're just stealing energetic currency from you without you realizing. Sometimes they're just obvious, like, you know, they're just a junkie who comes up and says, hey, give me $1. Well, you know, so I mean, it really depends on the context. So first things first, there's no need to poison yourself because others are poisonous. That's the first thing. Second thing is, if you can detach the situation. But the problem is sometimes you can't. Sometimes it maybe is a workplace or someone living with you. So it's not that you can't, it's just, it's a bigger process than just, you know, I'm out of here. And there are more factors at play. That's why I said often it's a puzzle, not just one piece. But if you can, my suggestion is just leave, you know. That's why I divorced my ex. Probably should cut that out of this video. I love you, ex-wife. No, fuck it. She knows I'm a smart ass. But does that answer your question?
It does.
Yeah. You know, the thing is that, to put it very plainly, is that not all humans are the same level of human. Simply put, you know, the map of consciousness explains it well. And actually, something very interesting that happens once you go over this line is that energy starts to move up through the energetic system. They call it Kundalini in the yoga traditions. And that energy that rises through your center activates what's called the etheric brain. So once you come over this line, you activate the energetic brain, right? And you are no longer just more animal. So people below integrity are literally like animals. And if you come over 200, you're more spiritual. So, you know, you've all met people who are just like, you know, you can tell they're not very conscious. You know, they're either very aggressive, very angry, very lustful. You know, their intentions are quite negative. You've all felt them before. They're what we would call, you know, below integrity. So they're below this line. So what am I trying to communicate here? Not all humans are the same. You know, like simply put, Mother Teresa, Hitler. There's probably a bit of a difference there, right? Just a tad, right? So.
But they need to be told their boundaries as well, right?
Well, I mean, yes and no. Meaning, I mean, if you leave, you don't.
They don't understand what's the point of giving away
That's what I'm
secret.
getting. That's what I'm getting at. You know, and you can't. And the thing is that you can't expect a monkey to do advanced algebra.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They just don't understand. So what happens over time is that, you know, you start to just feel a bit more compassion for people because you realize that, you know, a monkey's going to be a monkey, a dog's going to be a dog. A cat is a cat, and you don't expect a cat to, you know, build a building for you.
Why aren't you more like a dog?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Cat doesn't have emotional
can't you help
intelligence
me
as
with
dogs.
That's right. That's what I'm getting at. So you start to realize humans are actually like a series of different subspecies. We're not all the same. We're not all the same. And the thing is that it takes time to realize that and go, we're all actually quite different because of the level of consciousness. The level of consciousness changes everything. And the thing is that the more you practice, the more you rise your level, the easier it becomes to see the different levels beneath you. Meaning, if you've gone up through a lift of a building of 1,000 floors, right, and you've gotten out on each level and you've had a look out the window, you start to understand the view from each level, right? But if someone's only ever gone to level 10, they don't get what it's like at level 20 or level 50 or level 100 or level 1,000. They just don't get it because they've never seen that perspective. So you start to kind of be a bit more lenient, but not only lenient, you also become more cautious. You know what I mean? So you understand there are vipers, you know, and you understand there are snakes and dogs and wolves. So, yeah. And it sucks because, you know, you want to think that people are good and you want to have connections and friendships. But, you know, the thing is that what you'll notice is that when you let go of those people, when you release them from your life, not only physically but also mentally and energetically, because there's usually a time lag, you know, where there's still like frequency in your system that you keep thinking about them and they come back to your mind, right? Once you've let go of them energetically, emotionally, mentally, and also physically, space opens up and then these new people come into your life automatically because there's this clear space and you're like, wow, I got this really cool friend that I never had before, you know? And that's usually because you've created that space in yourself to attract them. So I wish you luck. It always sucks when there are dicks around.
Happens in every workplace. We used to have a saying when I was in the police force, and that was, you can't teach a pig to sing, it wastes your time and annoys the pig. And some people, it just doesn't.
Funny that cops were saying that.
Weird, isn't it? But you turn up at a job and it's pointless trying to negotiate or talk or reason or if they're drunk or whatever, drunk or whatever, you just have to control a different way. You're no good trying to find their better place on there. Because they haven't got
I like that. I like that.
They're on that level and that's where
That's
where they are.
That's it. That's the boundary of their consciousness, so to speak. They can't get past that. Can't teach a pig to sing because you'll annoy the pig and what is it?
Waste your time.
Waste your time and annoys the pig. Yeah, and the pig might spit at you or something. I can imagine that would be a lot in the like as a police officer. You'd be dealing with like the lower realms. Yeah, the lower realms.
Yeah, a lot of that.
That's a good analogy. A drunk person, you know, like when that lady, I gotta go to Dan Murphy's. That like there was no reasoning with her. Like you literally just hit my car and there are kids everywhere. But in her mind, she's like, I gotta get to Dan Murphy. So she's a great example of, you know, a pig being a pig, so to speak. Very good. All right, so we'll do a meditation now. Yeah, so get comfortable. And just make sure all our phones are on silent so we don't get...
A little hot tea.
Thank you, sir. Alrighty. What is this, a fucking tea party? No, I'm kidding. Part of my swearing, Chet, you're so lovely and sweet. I feel bad when I swear around you. I don't, around the guys, it's like
Oh my God, you should hear me swearing at Tim.
high five. Yes.
Sorry, no offense. But there was a time,
Yeah.
well, we don't fight much lately,
Yeah.
but when we fight, it was like, I call him like Morphle.
Nice. So cute. Because you're so cute and sweet, I wouldn't... Yeah, okay, great. Good to know. Good to know that you dropped the F-bomb as well. I feel better now. We can all go home happy. Alrighty, so close down your eyes. Take some deep breaths. You can take a moment to say your own prayer whilst I start with the opening prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, holy be your name. Your kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our transgressions, as we forgive those who transgress against us. And lead us whilst being in temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Absolute, infinite beingness, God, everlasting life, love, and mercy, manifesting yourself in yourself as the total wisdom and almightiness. Enlighten our minds to understand you as the truth. Clean our hearts to reflect your love towards you and towards all other human beings. Continue to breathe deeply. Calm, deep, gentle breaths. As you breathe with a sense of ease, bring in a sense of responsibility and ownership within yourself. It's like you're declaring, I am responsible for my thoughts, my emotions. I am responsible for myself. Now gently attune your focus with your spiritual intention. The spiritual intention is the mind focused on the spirit, peace, prosperity, power, freedom, love, gratitude, joy. Feel the elevated emotion. Experience the upward, expanding flow of energy. As you step into the field of power, of strength, feel it. into your heart center. Now, sense the entire space you occupy. Your backside on the seat, your feet on the floor, the cold air around your hands, the neck, the head. Sense the space you occupy. Sensing the energy, the sensation of the body can only be present. And as you rest in this presence, have no fear. Vibrations, frequencies and emotions of force, they can't hurt you. You just don't like them. And as you sense the space in your system, allow whatever upset that may have come up, allow it to show its face and sense it in the system. An image may come to mind. An upset feeling or sense may show its face. Allow it to be there. It has no power over you. Bring in a sense of gratitude. I am grateful for the opportunity to surrender this. Let it stay there on the system as the intention of surrender dissolves it, releases it like a piece of ice that turns to water and dissolves to steam. Evaporating, dissolving, washing out of your system. I am grateful for the opportunity to surrender this. Now, as you surrender, bring in that sense of devotion. God, the infinite beingness, Christ, the way, Mother Nature, whatever expands you, bringing in that sense of devotion. Like steam leaving your system, rising, being released into consciousness. Sensing the space and grateful, filled with courage, allowing any frequency to be as it is, surrendering, releasing, dissolving. Devotion, connected to that higher power. elevated energy. Fill yourself with strength, power, peace. Feel it. Take a moment once again to say your own prayer, or a suggestion or mantra. Breathe deeply. And know that you have access to letting go, to intention, surrender, devotion. Slowly bring yourself back into the room, back into the space we're in. And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes.